When we got the Target exclusive New Adventures of He-Man, Masterverse He-Man, a few months back, we knew it was inevitable that we'd be getting a Skeletor eventually, and of course, we sure did. So why don't we take a look at Masterverse New Adventures Skeletor on today's episode of Deceptibot 9 Reviews. Let's get it! How's it going, everyone? Deceptibot 9 here, and thank you, as always, for coming to another episode of Deceptibot 9 Reviews. Before we go ahead and look at this evil Lord of Destruction, go ahead, make sure you slap that like button. Plus, if you like what you see, go ahead, hit the subscribe button already if you haven't before. Really want you to. It would mean a lot. Like, really. And if you want to stay tuned for all the future content that I've got planned, go ahead and hit that notification bell as well so you never miss a video. Plus, all of my social links are in the description down below. So, without further ado, let's go ahead, head down to the review station, take a look at Masterverse New Adventures Skeletor. Alright, and here is the New Adventures Skeletor, all ready to take over the new world, and there is all of the accessories, of course, that he comes with. And I am going to say, right off the top, this is probably one of the coolest Masterverse Skeletors that we have, partially just because the design is really neat, but also just all the molded detail they put in there is really neat, and I love a lot of what they did with this figure. So, enough of that. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at all those cool molded details with a closer look. Alright, we'll come up first with this beautiful looking Skeletor head sculpt. You can see it's of course got the traditional yellow Skeletor color there on most of the face, with of course black eye sockets with a deep red eye pupil there. Of course, we get a little bit of black for the nose hole, and you can see all the teeth molded in there individually. And you can see a little bit of green poking out here. So if you remove, whoops, mine always does this. Mine's a little loose on the ball joint, I think. The helmet does remove. Come on, there we go. We'll bring that back in a minute. But if you remove that beautiful helmet, you can see this like beautiful green like brain and just gross detail on there with the sort of apparatus strapped to the back of his head. I've never actually watched New Adventures, as I mentioned in my New Adventures He-Man review, but I think the designs are still really neat. It's just a little bit of a lower gray spot, so I'm not particularly sure why Skeletor's head looks like that, but I think it's really neat that it does. It's a cool look. And you can also throw the helmet back on, and you can see all the detail on there with the beautiful paint work. If you move down to the front, this chest armor here is done up all in red with a little bit of silver for the skulls on the chest. You can see all the wires and tech details there. Underneath that, you can see on his chest a little bit of wire details that are done in a silver paint, which looks spectacular. You can see those same kind of details over on his arms and his back, which is, I love. Look at this. That is so cool. I love that detail. I do wish it was painted. I think if they were all painted kind of like they are painted here on the chest, it would help all those details pop a little bit more, but I still do love that those details are present to begin with. They're even down here on the legs, you see. We get a little bit of belt action with some, with a skull and some like chainmail-y kind of effect on the loincloth piece. Look down, see all the muscle texture. We get a little bit of red armor pieces on the side. Down to the boots, a little bit of red, a little bit of blue with some molded detail, and some usual kind of Skeletor-y looking feet. So yeah, like I said, I mean, this Skeletor is just really cool. I just love all that weird tech detail that is on him is just so cool. Kind of reminds me of what they're going to do upcoming in Revolution, where he's sort of like a cyborg looking kind of dude. But yeah, I absolutely love this. Again, I just wish they were painted a little bit, but enough about the details on him. Let's go ahead and talk his accessories. So we already kind of saw the helmet up here comes not on his head in package, so we'll count that as an accessory. He does have his cape, which is kind of an accessory. It's just done in that soft fabric, no bendy wire or anything, but it is nice on both sides, and I always do enjoy a fabric cape. Then of course, as you saw in the turnaround, he does have alternate hands, so he's got another open hand if you would like to use two hands for the staff, or another fist if you want to give, this side the fist, that side the staff, whatever. They're on the older style of the peg swapping system, so they're the smaller pegs, but they are very easy, of course, to just rip that one out and and to plug that one in if you want to go that route. Then, of course, the big accessory he comes with is his version of the Havoc staff, which it's so cool. I love the way this thing looks. Big skull in the middle with, I don't even know what to call those on the sides, but they look super cool. I love this design with a big old spike. No paint or anything on it, but honestly, I think that's fine. I think it looks cool as it is. I do wish maybe there was like a little blast effect or something that you could put on the front of it to make it look like it was shooting a big old laser or something. I think that would be neat, but yeah, overall, I mean, it just really helps add to the Skeletor look, and I think he looks fantastic as it is. You know, and you can get two hands on the staff if you want to go like that. I posted pictures on my Instagram a while ago when I got this guy, if you want to go check that out and see some more wacky poses of him. But speaking of poses, let's go ahead and talk his articulation. So, I mean, there's nothing really new or groundbreaking in this articulation like there was in Masterverse Wave 10, but we'll go ahead and cover it anyway. Head is on a ball joint, gets it rocking and rolling all the way around like that. It can turn back and forth like that. Arms do go all the way around. They go out that far. They swivel here at the bicep. There is the traditional Masterverse double elbow, plus a wrist swivel and a wrist hinge, so you get all of that beautiful arm action there. He does also have, of course, the upper torso cut, which lets him rock and roll. My head, as you've noticed, has now popped off a couple times. The ball joint, it moves fine. It's not loose when it moves. It's just the way it sits on there for some reason. I don't know. But he does have the upper ab cut that lets him rock and roll, spin around. He can also twist at the waist just like that. Legs go forward that far. They go backwards that far. They're a little limited on the legs compared to some other figures for some reason. I think they're just maybe a little bit tighter than normal, but they do go out that far into the split, which means New Adventure Skeletor gets like give him like a 7 or 8. He needs to work on that split a little bit, push down a little harder. Legs do swivel here at the thigh, and you've got the bend here at the knee, the double bend, and a swivel here at the shin, plus the feet do hinge and swivel all the way around like you would expect out of that. So, yeah, Skeletor is just as posable as any other Masterverse figure, which, I mean, I say it all the time. I do love the Masterverse articulation scheme. I think it's really great. I think the only thing really it's missing is a butterfly joint in the shoulders. If we could get those, it'd be pretty much perfect. But let's go ahead, do a couple quick comparisons with some other figures here so you can get a sense of scale. Of course, you got to show Skeletor off with New Adventures He-Man, so you can see how these two intergalactic pair off in a fight. Alright, here's New Adventures Skeletor with your standard Origins figure, this one being Fangor, my most recent Masters of the Universe review. Go ahead and check that out right here. So you can see how he would look with your Origins, especially since we don't have a version of him in Origins yet. And of course, for all my Classics people, here is New Adventure Skeletor with Classics Molar, just in case he needs any dental work done. And for a Transformers reference, here he is with Voyager Class Legacy Tarn. Alright, so that's going to about do it for my closer look at New Adventures Masterverse Skeletor. Really simple, straightforward figure. Really like him though, but we will get to that in just a second because let's go ahead and head back up to me for my final Skeletor thoughts. Alright, so what are my final thoughts on the New Adventures Skeletor here? Well, I think he's very well done in Masterverse. There's a lot of awesome molded detail on the figure. I just wish there was a little bit more paint applied to some of those details to help them just pop a little bit more. But he's really solid when it comes to articulation. He poses great. He also just looks fantastic from every angle. I really love him. He goes great with all the other He-Man and Skeletors that I've got on my shelf. So I'd say even if you're not really a huge fan of New Adventures, because I personally haven't touched that lore at all, it's still a really appealing figure to me. But if you hate the design, you're not really going to like the figure, I'm sure. Alright guys, that is going to do it for another episode of Deceptibot 9 Reviews. Go ahead and let me know what you think about Masterverse New Adventures Skeletor in the comments section below. And what other figures from New Adventures do you want to see? We know Slushhead is on the way. Can't wait for him to drop because he looks fantastic. But who else would you like to see from the New Adventures line? Guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. As always, I've been your host, Deceptibot 9. Thank you, as always, for joining me and making it to the very end of the video, and I will catch you guys later.